What is up everyone, how's it going? Hope we're keeping well and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. It hasn't been the best week so far for FPL managers, with the news Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to be sidelined for the next 3 weeks, and along with the news that Jarrod Bowen is looking very likely to miss GW21. So with Mo Salah and Heung-min Son already headed off to the African Cup of Nations and the Asia Cup, a lot of popular players are missing, so yeah, it looks like there's going to be a lot of hits taken by FPL managers this week. Thankfully, I do have 2 free transfers in the back pocket, so stick around for this video where I'll be showing you my transfer plans and team selection ahead of the GW21 deadline. Before I get into today's video, 67% of my viewers aren't actually subscribed to the channel, so if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button below. With the uncertainty around Haaland's minutes ahead of the GW21 deadline, captaincy is going to be very important this week, so stick around towards the end of the video where I'll be heading to a pitch in County Galway for my weekly captaincy pick. That's the intro out of the way, let's get into the video. So looking at my current lineup ahead of the GW21 deadline, we do have 3 main issues in my starting 11, with Salah and Son already gone off to the African Cup of Nations and the Asia Cup, and then we have that new issue in defence with Trent set to be sidelined for the next couple of weeks. The good news is though, I do have 2 free transfers to use, and thankfully I was patient with my moves over the FA Cup and the EFL Cup break. If you watched my last video on my GW21 transfer plans, Jarrod Bowen was probably my top priority transfer in this week, but unfortunately he did get injured in West Ham's FA Cup game, and he's set to miss out on GW21. If you are one of those FPL managers that did make an early transfer and got stung by the Bowen news and the Trent news, please use this as a lesson to learn for the rest of the season. Information is far more important than any price rise or price fall. Looking at my current GW21 lineup, there is a certain player missing in the big man Erling Haaland. He was expected to be fit ahead of the GW21 deadline, but there are still question marks around whether he's going to be fit for the Newcastle game, but we'll chat about him later on in the video. I did manage to get a nice green arrow in GW20, and I'm now sitting at 148k overall, so hopefully we can push on now over the next couple of weeks and get inside the top 100k, and then get a final push on before the end of the season and try and get inside that top 10k. Looking at captaincy then for the week, it is going to be a tough one if Haaland is confirmed out for the weekend. At the moment, it's between Saka, Palmer and Ollie Watkins for the Airman this weekend. Looking at Palmer, he does have the early kick-off against Fulham. GW21 is a long game week, so if I do captain Palmer and he blanks against Fulham, it's going to be a long wait, especially with Saka and Watkins still to play. Ollie Watkins did have a nice rest over the FA Cup break. He made a late cameo appearance in their FA Cup game against Middlesbrough. He's up against Everton away from home. That's a game I do expect him to get something out of. If it was a home fixture for Villa, I'd definitely be tempted to captain Watkins, but he's definitely a candidate for the Ironman this week. Saka is up against Crystal Palace then at home. Last year, I captained Saka against Crystal Palace in that same fixture, and he came away with 2 goals and an assist, so I could be very tempted to captain Saka in that fixture and hope history repeats itself. Just a quick reminder, the GW21 deadline has moved to this Friday, the 12th of January, with the Burnley and Luton game being moved to Friday night, so make sure you get your team locked in before then. The latest update on Erling Haaland is a positive one, with the news he did train with the first team on Wednesday. At the moment, I'm about 50-50 on whether or not I'm going to bring him into the team this week, or just wait until the GW22 deadline when we've got more information on his match fitness. If you are thinking the same and waiting until GW22, I would urge you to have a plan in place on how you're going to get Haaland back into your team. So whatever transfers you make ahead of the GW21 deadline, make sure you do have enough money in your bank so you can stretch the Haaland in GW22 and save yourself the headache when that deadline comes around. That being said, I will be waiting until Pep's press conference on Friday. Hopefully he'll be able to give us a clear indication on Haaland's match fitness and whether or not he will be in the team ahead of the Newcastle game on Saturday. Knowing Pep as he is though, however, I am expecting a blunt response and not to get much help from him. But yeah, I'll be waiting until his press conference and then I'll make my decisions from then. With Salah and Son already gone off to the African Cup of Nations and the Asia Cup, here are the top 5 midfielders on screen that I'll be looking at as the replacements for the next couple of weeks. If you did watch my last video, you will see there's some new faces in the top 5, especially with the news that Jarrod Bowen is going to miss out on GW21, so I've had to remove him from the top 5 and get some new players in. It is a pity though that Bowen is going to miss out, because if you did watch my last video, he was my top candidate to bring in this week, but at least I was patient with my transfers and didn't bring him in, so yeah, I'll have to look elsewhere. A quick reminder that the midfielders on screen here aren't ranked in order of preference, but I will be going through them and telling you my preferred picks. I'll start off with my preferred pick out of the 5 in Phil Foden of Manchester City. I haven't done the move yet, but I'm more than likely going to be doing Heung-min Son out and bringing in Foden with the Newcastle fixture at the weekend. During the week, there was quotes from a Kevin De Bruyne interview that he doesn't expect to start the Newcastle game, so this should see Phil Foden playing through the centre again, and hopefully we can see some returns from him in that game. When De Bruyne comes back into the team also, Foden has that flexibility of being able to play on the wing, and with City having the chance of a double game week at game week 25, I think bringing Foden in now is the right decision, and hopefully he can get some returns over the next few games. With Phil Foden pretty much guaranteed to make it into my team, barring a freak injury before the weekend, I then have to decide on my last midfielder pick out of Diogo Jota, Richarlison, Pascal Gross and Douglas Luiz. After Phil Foden, I'd be looking at Jota as a potential Salah replacement if I am looking to get rid of Salah with my second free transfer and get some Liverpool cover over the next couple of game weeks. Jota has managed to get 2 assists and 1 goal over the last 2 games after just playing 32 minutes, and even during the FA Cup game against Arsenal, he came on as a late substitute and managed to get an assist late on to set up Luis Diaz for Liverpool's second goal. I definitely think Jota is Liverpool's second best finisher behind Mo Salah, but the only thing that worries me about him is his security of minutes. This is a risk you'll need to factor in before you make your decision, but if Jota does get some consistent minutes over the next couple of game weeks, I do expect him to return well. Next up for consideration is Richarlison, and if you watched my last video, I did speak highly of him, but since then, Timo Werner has secured a loan move to Spurs, and this may affect where Richarlison plays, whether it be through the centre or if he's pushed out to the wing. With Son gone to the Asia Cup, I do expect Richarlison to be on penalties. We're not 100% sure who Spurs' second choice taker is, but I do expect it to be Richarlison. The only downside about bringing Richarlison in this week is the fact that Spurs may blank in game week 26 if Chelsea reach the EFL Cup final. With the potential blank for Richarlison, it probably puts me off bringing him into the team altogether, especially if I do have some Liverpool players with their chance of a double in game week 25, and if Liverpool do make the EFL Cup final, they'll blank in game week 26. So if I do bring in Richarlison this week, I will have some Liverpool players as well, and then I'll have a lot of players who'll blank in game week 26, so that's why it puts me off him. If Pep says on Friday that Haaland is going to play in the Newcastle game, FPL managers will be scrambling for some budget picks in midfield to fund that Haaland move. For that reason, I've included Pascal Gross and Douglas Luiz as options you should be considering. Starting off with Pascal Gross, Brighton now have a great run of fixtures up until game week 28, so Gross could be a nice pick for these run of games, and he's in decent form this season, scoring 3 times and assisting 6 times. He's a player that can tick along nicely over this run of games, so there's nothing wrong bringing him in if you need the money for Haaland, and he's definitely a nice budget pick. Douglas Luiz is another nice budget pick, price of 5.6 million, and with him being on penalties and set pieces, you can't ask for much more. He's already got 6 goals and 3 assists this season, so he's definitely in good form, and Villa have some decent fixtures over the next couple of game weeks, so I think Douglas Luiz could get some returns over these next few games. I think the ranking of these midfielders all comes down to the fitness update of Erling Haaland ahead of the Newcastle game at the weekend, especially if managers are looking for some budget picks in Pascal Gross and Douglas Luiz there. All I can say, out of these 5 midfielders, I definitely would consider bringing Foden into your team as your Son replacement. So looking at my transfer plans ahead of tomorrow's deadline, I have got 2 free transfers to use, and I've got 2 options on how I'm going to use these 2 free transfers. Starting off is the first option, I'm bringing Haaland back into the team, and this is going to be determined by what Pep says in his press conference on Friday. If it does sound positive, and it does sound like Haaland is going to start that Newcastle game, I'll be taking a hit and using 3 transfers, getting rid of Salah, Trent and Son in order to fund Haaland back into the team. You can see from my last video, my transfer plans have changed, and now instead of getting rid of Salah, I'll be getting rid of Trent and using that money to fund Haaland. The reason why I'm not getting rid of Salah is that if Egypt get out of their group, they'll either be playing on the 28th or the 29th of January, and that'll be the second round of games, and if they are knocked out, the game week 22 deadline is the 30th of January, and Liverpool don't play until late on in the 31st of January, so there definitely is a chance Salah could play a game week 22 if Egypt are knocked out by then. So that's why I'm going to keep Salah on my bench, and hopefully we'll get a more clear indication on whether or not he'll be playing game week 22. My second option then, if it sounds like Haaland isn't going to start that Newcastle game, I'll just be using my 2 free transfers, getting rid of Trent and Son, and bringing in Foden and Estepinian. As we said earlier with Gross, Brighton have a great run of fixtures now up until game week 28, so bringing in Estepinian, hopefully we'll get some clean sheets and some potential attacking returns there. With these transfer plans on screen, I'll be benching Mo Salah, as this will give me time to assess how far Egypt can get in the African Cup of Nations, and if they do get knocked out in the second round, there is that small chance that Mo Salah could play a part in game week 22. With Mo Salah and Trent, if you are getting rid of Salah this week, definitely don't get rid of Trent, and if you are getting rid of Trent this week, definitely don't get rid of Salah. This is because there is a small chance that Liverpool could double in game week 25, So I wouldn't be wasting transfers getting rid of Liverpool players when you'll want them come game week 25 if they do double that week. With the transfer plans out of the way this week, let's head to pitch in County Galway and let's see who I'm captaining ahead of tomorrow's deadline.
Saka for the Ironman.
So Saka currently gets the Ironman ahead of the game week 21 deadline with that home fixture against Crystal Palace. My captaincy pick definitely isn't locked in though, with Cole Palmer, Ollie Watkins and even potentially Haaland up for the Ironman as well, but it all depends on Pep's press conference on Friday. At the time of the recording, the most likely scenario is to see Haaland on the bench against Newcastle, but I will be waiting until Pep's press conference on Friday and hopefully we'll get a clear update on then. For now though, here's how my potential lineup will look ahead of tomorrow's deadline, with just those 2 free transfers used, taking out TRENT and Son and bringing in Foden and Estepinian. These moves could all change on Friday depending on what Pep says in his press conference, so I'll be holding my transfers until Friday just before the deadline, and I advise you to do the same also. If you've made it to the end of this video, please give it a like, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's hit a like goal of 80 likes on this video. If you are still watching this video and you're not subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button below, drop a comment below as well and give the video a like. I'll see you all on Friday evening for a Game Week 21 deadline stream where I'll be locking in my 2 free transfers and hopefully we'll get a clear indication on Haaland's fitness and whether or not he'll play that Newcastle game. Thanks for watching, best of luck for the week, I'll see you in the next video.